and they sell 25 during the summer, you earn an Apple Watch and a pair of AirPods, okay? If you recruit 2 to 3, they work collectively to sell 45, so you recruit with 2 to 3, sell 45. You can pick 2 out of the following, so a MacBook and a drone. I think it's like a $1,300 drone. Or an 85-inch TV, that's like freaking massive, right? And you don't, so there's one thing Dan wanted to make sure. If you recruit 4 people, you don't win this and this and this, because then that's like $9 grand worth of stuff, and Dan would be absolutely shafted. But you would earn, so if you recruit 2 to 3, that's what you earn. You would earn just the laptop, you wouldn't earn these. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then yeah, recruit 4 to 5 during the summer, they kill it day 60. You can win, what is that, Nate? 8 or 15?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah, it is.
Or $1,500 stock S plus $500 with ADT stock. So,
That's right. That stuff be going up.
yep, yep. So,
Get Rod in the background.
must be recruited during the summer, April 1st to July 15th.
What about that Glock?
That's the one.
The
Yeah,
Glock?
Glock for bringing someone out.
I don't know, who did that one?
ADT Glock.
Yeah.
I reckon,
use the
I
AR.
reckon you could probably see if Dan will chop and change it about. You message him
I mean, you
about
can
it.
just trade out
Get someone out here first, and then
Yeah.
and then you got a bit of leverage. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure with Dan, you know, if you have something that you really want, like, if he's forking out the money, I'm sure he's willing to put that towards what you want. But this is just some cool stuff that you can get. And then yeah, guys, if you have people that are interested in the job, you can come over. I can hop on a call with them, and yeah, we can work on getting them out here. So, a little recruiting incentive right there. Anyone have any questions on that? No? Money. All right. There was one more thing. I'm trying to remember here. I forget. I'll let Kyle train me. I remember all the else later. You need the screen share copy?
Yeah.
Kyle Keeper.
Alright,
Keeperton.
so I kind of went over this during the South Carolina Blitz, but a lot of the guys who were there are a little bit too new to kind of understand all of this, but I kind of wanted to go over, and I kind of like did a deep dive into my head, like, because I know for me as a rookie last year, when I got to like the first and second week of May is when I really started to like hit my stride and get going. Like the first month I sold like 11. And then second month I sold like 27 or something like that. So more than double. So I was kind of trying to go back and like in my head try to see what made me get to that point. And I think a lot of the big things were one, I took like very seriously like how I looked on the door, so like always making sure I was clean shaven, had a good haircut, very like professional and respectful. I, as you can see, still stand up to those standards here. It's kind of hard to say that now when I look like this, but last year I was locked in. They started the training. But no. So one of the things that really I felt helped me a lot was one, like what Mike was training on last week, is customizing the pitch to the customer. Anybody can pretty much go out and, you know, say the lines, the basic pitch, and you'll sell 3 to 4 a week. If you want to start getting up to like the 5, 6, 7 and up range, when you customize it to that person, that's when you start to separate and sell more people. And then also being able to, I don't like to say battle objections, but
You can say it.
overcome the objection, I guess you could say, and like understanding it. So that's what we're going to go over today. Overcoming last minute objections. So obviously everybody that's knocking, we're all qualifying a lot of people, so we don't have issues with getting people interested. We have issues with closing the customer, right? Because we're all getting 1, 2, 3 qualifications a day. Even, I mean, in my head, like if I qualify one person, I'm in their house, I qualify them, I'm not leaving until they either tell me to leave or I leave the deal. So just kind of training on the persistence of closing. You can't go wrong with being respectfully persistent, right? Fear is the #1 motivator for people. So if you build enough value on the cameras and the alarm system, and you paint the picture big enough for them, 9 out of 10 times they're gonna get it. I mean, it doesn't matter if they say they can't afford it, like people will, if they find a big enough need and they feel like you're the solution to their problem, they'll cancel their cable, they'll cancel their Disney Plus. I've had people do it before just so they can get the alarm because they felt like they really needed it. At the end of the day, they're going to say no, or you're going to turn that no into a yes, right? So just give it all up, give it your all for if you're during closing. So I mean, if someone tells you to leave, you're never going to see that person again, so it really doesn't matter if it's a negative interaction or a positive one. You know that it's important to protect their home and family. Like, obviously these things work. There's plenty of testimonies on how ADT has saved people's lives in the past, and there's people in this office who've had firsthand experiences with helping those people too. Like I know Aiden had one, like where a lady was getting beat, right? And the security system helped her.
Yeah.
And signed her up and then
Like she didn't want to get it installed the same night, and he got her to get it installed, and her ex-husband came and beat her, and
Yeah.
the police came.
No, he even had another one where he got their business installed, and then while they were installing it, their business got set up, and they went to go do their home, and while they were installing their
That's my
home,
deal.
someone, that was your deal?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then they broke into the
Business.
business.
On the house.
and the alarm went off, and they got a phone call that their house was getting broken into while they were getting ADT
On the house.
for their house,
Wow.
and it worked.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
Before we dive into this, I do want to say one thing, and I was helping Colin with this last night, is finding the hot button. When you find the hot button, or if somebody doesn't give you a hot button, you give them a hot button. So kind of like what Mike was doing with fish a little bit. And if you get a lot of crime drops for a specific thing in your neighborhood, so for one, like cameras or car break-ins, obviously you're gonna do an outdoor camera. And I'll say, like when I'm pitching, what all of your neighbors have been doing is this because of X. So that way you build the value on the hot button for them instead of being like, oh, well, we could do the doorbell camera or the outdoor camera. Like, which one do you feel like you would use more? If somebody's never looked at doing it before because they've never had a need, you build that hot button for them, and then they feel like they need that, and you have the solution for that.
So that caught on a big one right there, because we're doing that question of like, hey, which camera would you use more? I don't know, I never looked at it. And you're like,
And then you
you're
freeze
stumped,
up. Yep.
right? So then what I do, I ask that question, see if I can get engagement, just like Kyle's doing. If I don't give him the right answer, I was like, okay, if it was my house, this is what I would do. This is what all the neighbors are getting. So that's the same package you'll get. And then I tell them what they're gonna get. Hey, we're doing the doorbell camera, the outdoor camera, because that's what's gonna make your house the safest. So if you're not getting the right questions, you're getting like a lamb or something like that. It's like, hey, this is the package that all the neighbors are doing. This is what you get for advertising, and you just build it for them.
Yeah, and if you're attentive enough and you listen to what the customer's telling you, during the time that you're explaining something, they'll bring something up, or they'll just like ask a little question and like give you a little hint to what they actually want. So if I'm explaining like the outdoor and they're like, well, what about the doorbell here? Or like, what about the backyard? And then you go into that, and then now you know their hot button, so now you know that's what you need to build value on. So for this, we'll say we get past all of that into the house and the closing, okay? So there's pretty much 3 objections that you're gonna get the most. One obviously is being price. The one we all hate the most is think it over, and 3 is not interested, okay? So the overcoming process of all 3 objections. So 1, you acknowledge it. So like, yeah, I totally understand why you would say that. 2, you want to resolve it. So pull back, assumptive language, engaging questions. Question-based selling, as we all know, works really well, especially when like we all have the questions that Ron wrote out for us, and those work really, really good, and they help a lot because the customer basically just sells himself on it. And then 2 ways to kind of solve this is ACE, so pay for the first month, you throw an extra piece of equipment in, and then you want to transition and close. Don't sit. The worst thing you can do, because you can do all of this right, but if you keep circling on that objection and you make it a big deal, now it's a big deal for the customer too. So you just want to transition back into what you're normally doing and then close. So if I get a price objection, I give them a solution, and then I just go right back into soft close. And what was that email? And if they bring it back up, then I go and address it again and try to get the email again. So you want to try 3 times until, like if you get no 3 times, then try something else, and you get another 3 no's, and then you know it's a real problem. First, identify their real concern. You can ask them to help you isolate, or let's see. You can ask them, isolate concern to help them identify it. So here's one. Aside from the cost, would there be anything major keeping you from using ADT to protect your home and family? Or like the one Mike says is obviously like protecting the home and family is a top priority. Get them to agree with you, and then you can use it as a tie down. In the future, if there was a break-in, you wouldn't mind paying $2,000 because then you would have the peace of mind knowing that your family's safe. We get to take care of that for you today, and we get to save you all of that cost since you're helping us. And then, so if you get like an older person, sometimes if you explain or over-explain, they just get really flustered, and then it's like too much for them to handle. So you might get like, oh, you want to think it over because it's kind of confusing. It's like, is there any part of the system that doesn't make sense yet? Have you had an alarm before? Okay, let me help explain a little bit better. So if it's a price, this is how we resolve it. First, you want to acknowledge that, yeah, I totally understand. We're working with the people that are on a fixed income. The great thing is we're not going to charge you for the system today. That's why Billy Tucker across the street did it, because he's on Social Security, right? So bringing the neighbors back in, especially if it's somebody they know, it makes it a lot better. So if you have one, you're like, yeah, Miss Mary right next door, she's on fixed income too. She found what we did for her was the best option because we get to pay for everything. That way later on she's not going to have to go buy it herself. Show them how much it would normally cost. So if you're not including in your price, like, or if you're not including in your pitch, like I carry around these schedule of protections. I show them all the upfront fees that ADT would usually charge. So they charge for the warranty, installation of the panel, cell unit, all of that crap. We eliminate all the $800 in upfront fees, and we pay for the equipment too, and we get your monitoring lowered, that we get the price lock. So I mean, we're giving them a really good deal, because if they call ADT, they have to pay for those things. Mm-hmm. So it's not bull crap. So show them how much it would normally cost, and then obviously, like, yeah, that's the best part. Systems these days are super expensive. You can call ADT at any time you want. You're just gonna have to pay the $2,000 instead of us covering it for you, right? Obviously, you didn't call us today. You didn't schedule an appointment with me, so we get to drop the price and cover all of that for you guys. Okay? And then don't disclose price until you built enough value. If they ask, say it depends on how many doors you have. Depends on how your homeowner's insurance works, and transition and build value. Something that I like to say is I say we try to get you as many discounts as possible, so that way we get you a lower price than what you would pay if you called ADT. And then that's more exclusive to the customer, so that way if they're over 60, they have family in the military, honestly anything that they say, I'm like, oh yeah, we can do that, we get you a discount for it. And then that way they see the 120 and then they see the 69. They feel like they're getting the deal because of who they are or what they've done in their life, instead of us giving that to everybody. And I always say, hey, don't brag about the price, because with the discounts it's different for everyone. So then they really feel like it's exclusive to them. So that way, that's another way, that's a really good way to customize the sale to your customer, is by trying to do like the discount close.
Kyle, I need you. It's your mother.
Say something.
There was a customer.
Yeah, he's a dick.
Oh, is that guy?
Yeah. I'm sure I'll get a really rude text in about 2 seconds. And then you can do a pullback.
Pull back if I hang up the phone.
And then pullbacks, they work really well. It's like if you fish, you know, you like pull the line back and the fish chases it. Or like Mike and Dan, they do the dangle method. So if you don't go to cabbage ball, you get a deduction off your back end. So.
Oh, there's a lot of deductions.
Yeah, a lot of deductions.
Wow.
My boy. seconds.
Brian,
Mike out is
Hey,
Just can't run the bases. Yeah.
Lots of y'all's moms.
That's back to me.
24 to 23 too. Who won the game again?
Alright.
Wait,